What's up, guys? So welcome back to the channel. Sorry I'm in a tank top today. It's kind of been like 90-100 degrees out in North Carolina. It's super humid, so you just got to bear with me and see my white arms, and apologize for that. But today we are working on the cams. We're going to get it all knocked out. Hopefully I'll be able to get it all torn down possibly today before I have to go pick up my kid from daycare, and then get it all prepped for tomorrow with installation of the cams and everything. So yeah, let's just get into it. Got to drain the radiator, get off the intake pipe, and then I can start tearing it all down. So I'm going to set you guys up and get it all knocked out. All right. Since that's draining, I'm just going to go ahead and take off the lower radiator hose over here. Probably make a huge mess, but hopefully, since most of that's drained out. There we go. It's not that bad. Let that drain. Alright, changing angles real quick. I'm going to go ahead and take out the radiator. Hopefully not make too much of a mess, but I do have pig matting underneath of it, just in case it does spill. It'll get soaked up into this cloth, and it absorbs all the kind of POLs and lubricants and stuff like that. Alright, well, radiator's out now. So with the radiator, there's two pieces. I couldn't get this piece disconnected off the bottom part. The fan sits in here to kind of cool off everything. So I just kind of took it apart and then gently slid it out and ended up against here, not losing any hardware. So then taking it out, I kind of just moved the radiator supports off to the side a little bit. Move the hose out of the way and just kind of slid it out just like that without hitting the fan or messing the fan up. Next I'm going to take the fan off, get the CAS out, and then possibly, well, get that pipe off out of the way as well. And then from there, move on the fuel rail side, getting this plastic piece off because you need to get in between to the screws here. Taking off the hoses, and then we can start taking the valve covers off. Alright, this is later on in the day, after I picked up my kid and ate dinner, but I came back out here and I got the majority of this stuff off. Got it lined up to top dead center. You can kind of see a little spot and a line on the intake side. Same on the exhaust, if you can. There's the dot. Line's right there as well. Dot and line. And then down there on the crank, lining up together. But got everything off the valve covers. I can take these off. They smell like fuel though, but I'm going to leave everything kind of on for the time being just because it's at night. It's kind of humid, and I think I'm done for the night. My back's starting to hurt and everything, so yeah, everything's all buttoned up, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye. Yep, it's raining again. So, okay, it's been like 2 days now. It's just been pouring non-stop. So coming out here in a metal building, and obviously, you know, you can hear it more than you can outside, but yeah, it's been pouring. But in the meantime, crank is now the only thing I need to take off. Got the water pump, fan, belts, power steering belt, air conditioning belts off, and also the alternator belt, or I guess they kind of all tie in. With these belts though, I noticed that they are getting a little worn and not looking too great. This one's not that bad. I mean, it'll focus. No real big cracks or anything crazy. This one kind of worn too. So in the meantime, since I've gotten majority of it off, took the valve covers off, again just waiting on that crank. I'm going to order new belts for all three. Got the timing belt sitting over there in the pile. But also, since I'm took the valve covers off, taking this piece off as well, and the front cover, I might just powder coat all of them, because I know that front cover was a little messed up. But I need to get my oven going, and that way I can get this engine bay cleaned up a little bit. But waiting on my buddy. He's supposed to be bringing me a crank pulley. My crank pulley is a little too long, this bolt here, so when I stick it down inside the crank, it almost hits my air conditioning condenser, and I don't want to mess that up or anything, so I'm waiting on a shorter one. That way I can get the crank out, and in the meantime, after I get the crank out, get this plate out, I could probably pop off later today the cam gears, get the cams out, slap the new cams in with the new cam gears, and then just wait for those belts so I can finish up the whole project. But I do have everything laid out, kind of what I want to do. Let me know in the comments if I should go ahead and put the super damper on. It is still a stock motor, minus the cam gears that I am putting in, and the turbos. So if the super damper will help, let me know. I was waiting to put that on the N1 block that I'm building. However, I'm kind of debating whether or not I should use it right now or with the N1 block. My Tomei gears, I do have an old school one, and I guess the new one. They're not the cams, so I'm not worried about these breaking. But the reason why I have an old school one with a new school one, the RB26 utilize the other old school Tomei gear that I had. Couldn't use this one on the intake, I believe, because it was a variable cam. Not sure, so don't quote me on that. I have to go back and look. But again, the intake only has one bolt, whereas the exhaust has 4. I could utilize the intake one if I had gone to a bigger cam. I think the cams that are in here are 256 degrees, both intake and exhaust. So yeah, I just had one laying around, the intake one laying around. I went ahead and ordered another exhaust one, and the 264 drop-in cams that I have for the 26 are gonna go, made it up with that. I also have a water pump. This water pump, you can see it's kind of old. It's kind of not in good shape, and I kind of want to just replace it since everything else is out and out of the way. put a new water pump on there. And then yeah, just waiting on these crank pulleys and belts and do the rest. Oh yeah, and also before I forget, yes, I did check to see if I was in time still or top dead center. You can kind of see where these markings are here and here. I haven't checked the one down here yet, but once the crank comes off, I will. And I also took out the spark plug. I've got a small little bore scope, and I made sure I stuck it down in there and made sure that that piston was as far forward as possible. You can see I'm lined up the dot with the line, and then the dot and line right there as well. I can't really get a good, but it's lined. I just have to check that one down there. It is lined with that, but I want to make sure when that crank comes off it's good. Had to move the Sunny in the 240 because tomorrow I am picking up the hatchback, which I can possibly throw in a picture. I just got pictures back from body, and the guy is almost finished with it. Once this is done, I get this running, get it out of the garage, go tune it, and then from there I can get the 240 on the lift, start dropping the RB25 in, finish the body, and then we're going to paint the engine bay the same gunmetal color with the rest of the body, and then the RB25 will be fitted in to the S13. And then from there, get that running, and then possibly start the Sunny, the Datsun, that guy. And goal is possibly to KA swap it, since it does have a little A12 engine. Parts for it are kind of rough to find. I can source them out, but yeah. Do got some body work down here and down there. Yeah, once that's done, possibly putting that on air ride, and then I'll start building the 1J up for that. Get that on the road. So finally got crank puller. You can kind of see the Woodruff key down below. If I can get the light right. Hopefully I have enough room. Crank's now off. I had to use two hands because it's a little heavy, but not too bad. Little scuffs here and there because I had to try to pry it before I got the crank puller. Trying to pry it to take that off, but needed that tool. And make sure you don't lose this guy here. This half moon piece is your Woodruff key. If you lose this, your crank will start to spin as it spins with the belt, and that can throw you off for your timing. It can jump timing. So I'm going to keep this right here next to the crank bolt, and then get the lower timing cover off. But I'm going to have to take the crank puller back to my buddy because he's got to take it back to work tomorrow. So lower timing cover's off now. So you've got the 3 bolts, 1, 2, 3. Taking that off, you can see the idler, tensioner pulley, and then your little crank washer down there. Trying to keep everything together because I might be powder coating those. Also take note of how this washer sits on the crank. So if I can get it off, Come on. Come on. There we go. So there's an inverted side. Obviously, the side where it's kind of bubbled out. Was it convex, concave? Convex, concave, right? Yeah, buddy. So, crank pulley's off, tensioner's off, idle pulley is off. Idle pulley was a 18, tensioner pulley was a 14 nut, I believe. This guy here, kind of crappy looking. I've already broken torque on the cam gears, so these are 14s. And then once these are off, I'm going to get this backing plate off and then start taking all the caps off to swap the cams. Alright. Alright, so now that the cam gears are off, I'm going to start breaking torque on all the caps. I'm going to start from the middle and work my way out on both sides. Inside here, if it focus, doesn't look too bad. Some wear and tear, you know, with all old engines, but everything is here on the floor because I don't have any table room. I'm going to clean all of this off and just check underneath the caps, just make sure there's no wear and tear, and then start throwing everything back in with new cams. Alright, after that little break, cleaned up everything, put some assembly lube. This is the intake side. I got the exhaust side already in. Godzilla has all the torques on his videos, but these cam cap bolts are going to be 6 to 8 foot-pounds. So I just went ahead, I got my inch-pound torque wrench set up. I went to 7 foot-pounds, so 7 times 12, you got 84 inch-pounds, and just went on the first one and all the way back to the last one. So back and forth, make sure they're even so the cam can actually sit evenly instead of going in, you know, knocking out 1, 2, 3, 4 and it be sitting like this. It'll sit down flush. So camera's almost dead too. I'm going to try to get the intake side in. If you're doing this, make sure you are putting assembly lube on the bottom of the cam caps as well. I put some here, but whenever you go to install it, just kind of a little small dollop down the line, and it'll help protect that. When you're going in and putting in your cams too, I just laid the intake one on top. I used my plate to align these little dowel rods to the timing marking. So if you hold that plate flush, you can kind of see there, and then there's the timing mark with that cam. So when you get to put everything back in, it makes it a little bit easier. Alright, I'm going to end the video here. It's about to start coming down. Oh man! Yeah, it's getting super windy and it's about to start pouring, but cams are in, torques are done on both intake and exhaust. Sorry I didn't film it for you, but I was just trying to knock it all out before it started raining. Did the finger type. Across the board I went 1, 2, 3, 4, so on and so forth. And then I ran them down, torquing the same way. Put assembly lube all back on the cam caps and also every lobe of the cam on both sides. So now all I got left is just to find the torques for these, putting on the cam gears, the ATI balancer, and then changing out the water pump. But like I said, before it starts pouring, I'm going to try to get this all edited and put up. Oh. So, thanks for tuning in, and yeah, I'll see you next time whenever I go and finish this. Bye. Whoa! It's about to go down. Ah, good rain on.